One day changes everything. That is not some hook to get you to click on this podcast. That is real. And I'm going to share the story of how it affected my life in a profound way. First off, I'm sure all of you can think of a time when you made a change, right? It doesn't even change in a day, it changes in a moment. It's like, boom. For me, getting sober changed in a moment. You've heard the story if you listen to some of my content, but I didn't have enough leverage to make a shift until I saw how I disappointed my father, how I disappointed myself, how I linked it to disappointment of God, my creator. And that was enough where, bam, it all changed one morning in a significant way. Not only can one day change everything, one moment can change everything. I'm sure there was a moment where if it was you quit drinking or you quit drugs or you quit smoking or you broke off a relationship or you stopped a friendship, like there was a moment where you just got sick and tired of it and no more, that's it, boom, and you took the action. Now, how can one day change everything? I've run different online group coaching courses and had incredible masterminds, and we've done this in almost all of them. And I want to share this with you now. I had a mentor of mine ask me to do this it's probably in 2019-ish. And what he had me do was he had me write down, we were talking about being efficient. And I told him, I was laughing at myself. I told him on one of our calls, I said, I'm as efficient as I possibly can be. What else can you help me with? And he started laughing and he said, Matt, I appreciate you saying that. I'm sure you are efficient. Let's just find out how efficient you are. What he had me do was the next day or a couple of days later, I wrote down, it's like a 24-hour audit. You audit your time. What are you doing during every minute of the day? And we went down to the detail. I did this for a full, I say 24 hours. I slept for 8 hours. So 16 hours I did this for. And what I realized was, oh my God, was I wasting a lot of time? A crazy amount of time. Back when I was scrolling social media, I was responding to DMs just randomly out of the blue that weren't, they were people I didn't even know. And I'm spending like 2 and 3 minutes per message. And it was taking up so much time. And I was not creating content. I was consuming more content. I was lazy when I looked back at it. There was so much time wasted. Even the phone calls I was making oftentimes dragged on, where a 40-minute call could have been 12 minutes. And I was the reason why it went further than that. We went over this excuse me, 24-hour audit, which again is like 16 hours. And we laughed and I laughed and I said, oh my goodness, you are so right that the amount of time that I am wasting, it was painful, but encouraging because if I just made a couple tweaks, I could save an hour easy. Imagine that. Imagine that for a second. You could save an hour. I bet we all could save an hour, have a free extra hour at some point. And a lot of times it's on the back end where we're sitting there watching Netflix for 2 hours. What if we went to bed? What if we watched Netflix for an hour or streaming service for an hour and then got up an hour earlier versus 2 hours of streaming where you're half asleep anyways? And most people are sleeping on the couch. What a waste of time that is. You're getting horrible sleep. The TV's still on. Insanity. And maybe you go, wow, this is nice. I'm getting up an hour earlier. I'm getting a chance to work on a side hustle or read a book I hadn't read or listen to a podcast or work out or whatever. Then you go, huh, what if I lowered the 1 hour of streaming to half an hour and I get up an hour and a half earlier? Now we're cooking. Now we're humming. I beg of you to do this audit. Is it tedious and is it difficult and is it awkward? Yes, for one day. Are you willing to have a weird, awkward, difficult one day to potentially change your freaking life? I am. I still do it. At least once a year, I'll do a day audit, and I always find something. Always. Something I found out a couple years ago was I was watching, this is back before Jesse and I got married. I was single and I was watching a YouTube video when I would eat. And what would happen is two things. First off, I would eat, and sometimes the video was longer. And, then you watch another video. So that 15-minute video turned into 45 minutes. But here's the other kicker. Well, now I'm watching the video while I'm eating at the table, but I finished my dinner. Well, what do I do now? Well, I get more food so I can eat while I'm finishing the video. It was not healthy at all. I know a lot of you think that I'm very disciplined. I like to think I'm pretty disciplined, but I'm not that disciplined. I just set up my environment for success. And that was set up where I'm watching a YouTube video. I conditioned myself when I ate dinner to watch a YouTube video. And I told myself the story that it's a personal growth video or a business video, which it was. But then the 15, 20 minutes of time I could have sat in silence and enjoyed the food turned into 45 minutes to an hour where I'm eating multiple bowls of food. Now I feel like crap. And then now I feel like crap, so I don't want to do anything else. So I just watch more YouTube videos. And I realized I have to cut that. I have to just eat, maybe some light music in the background, and just focus on the food, enjoying the moment, thinking about the day, life, gratitude, prayer, anything besides aimless watching of a YouTube video. That was one example of something I really shifted. And I found out through that audit. I think it was in early 2022 when I found that out. It was like a punch in the mouth. There will always be something you find out about yourself through these audits. I ask you to do it. Take the 16 hours, write it down. And I mean like 7:05 to 7:12, I did this. 7:12 to 7:45, I called my mom. 7:45 to 8:12, I did it like, and then you write it out exactly what you did. And then you audit it. You look at it and you look at it without judgment, but with realizing improvements can be made. I don't care if you're the president of the United States, the CEO of a company, great business owner, great parent, whatever. We can all improve on our time. And it's a beautiful way to figure that out. I hope you take the challenge. The challenge is clearly write down, whether it's tomorrow, pick a day within the next week. Pick one day within the next week, write it all down. And then the next day, look back and go, wow, where can I improve moving forward? It will change your life if you take this seriously. I'm so glad a mentor of mine told me to do it. It's changed my life. I will do it every year, forever, in getting it more efficient, more present, and more effective. Have a great week. Love doing these podcasts. Much love to you all. We'll see you next week.